The first encounter. The crystalline corridors of the Hegemony Coalition's flagship Luminous Supremacy hummed with the subtle vibration of quantum engines. High Commander Krivak stood before the observation deck, his 6 appendages clasped behind his chitinous back, observing the vast expanse of uncharted space. For 3 millennia, the Coalition had ruled over 70% of the known galaxy, with calculated precision and unwavering dominance. "Commander," the navigation officer's voice crackled through the neural link. "We're approaching the anomaly in Sector Zeta 9. Krivak's mandibles clicked in acknowledgement. The anomaly had been detected 6 cycles ago. Unusual energy readings from a previously uncharted system. In his centuries of service, he'd overseen the subjugation of countless civilizations, each falling predictably beneath the Coalition's technological superiority. This would be no different. The view screen shifted, revealing a small blue planet orbiting a yellow star. The sensor readings made no sense. "Tactical assessment," Krivak demanded. "Primitive technology, Commander. Radio waves, crude satellites, basic nuclear capability. Population approximately 8 billion. They call themselves humans." The tactical officer paused, confusion evident in his tone. "But sir, their environment is hostile. High gravity, extreme weather patterns, dangerous fauna. By all logic, they shouldn't have survived, let alone developed civilization." Krivak's interest peaked. A species that thrived in adversity could be useful, once properly subjugated. "Prepare for standard first contact protocol. Ambassador Vexlar will lead the delegation." Ambassador Vexlar, a being of ethereal grace with translucent skin that shimmered with bioluminescence, materialized on the bridge. Her species, the ethereals, were master diplomats, capable of reading micro-expressions across thousands of alien races. She had never failed to secure submission through words alone. The diplomatic shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere to a location the humans called United Nations Headquarters. As they approached, Vexlar studied the creatures awaiting them. Bipedal, relatively small, with no visible natural weapons or defenses. Their military escort carried projectile weapons, primitive but potentially effective at close range. The human delegation was led by Secretary General Maria Chen, a middle-aged woman with sharp eyes and an unwavering gaze. Beside her stood General James Morrison, whose weathered face spoke of experience beyond his apparent years. "Welcome to Earth," Chen said, extending her hand. A gesture Vexlar recognized as a greeting. The ambassador noted the firm grip, the steady eye contact, the lack of submission signals common in most species when faced with superior beings. In the conference room, Vexlar began her practiced speech. "The Hegemony Coalition extends its benevolent hand to humanity. Submit to our authority, and your species will be granted protection and limited autonomy within our great empire." Chen and Morrison exchanged glances. The general leaned forward, a slight smile playing on his lips. "With respect, Ambassador, we decline. Earth remains sovereign territory." Vexlar's bioluminescence flickered in surprise. Never had a primitive species responded with such confidence. "You misunderstand your position. We control 70% of the galaxy. Resistance would be futile." Chen nodded thoughtfully. "We understand perfectly. We simply choose not to submit. However, we're open to diplomatic relations, trade agreements, and cultural exchange, as equals." The word hung in the air like a challenge. Equals. In 3,000 years, no species had dared suggest equality with the Coalition. Vexlar attempted to probe their thoughts, but found something unexpected. A mental resilience she couldn't penetrate. General Morrison spoke up. "Ambassador, let me show you something." He activated a holographic display showing Earth's history, wars, natural disasters, pandemics, and humanity's response to each challenge. "We've survived ice ages, plagues that killed millions, wars that reshaped continents. We've split atoms, walked on our moon, and sent probes beyond our solar system. all while fighting amongst ourselves. Vexillar watched, transfixed. These humans had used nuclear weapons against their own kind, yet somehow survived. They poisoned their air and water, yet found ways to reverse the damage. They were simultaneously self-destructive and incredibly resilient. You see, Chen added, adversity doesn't weaken us. It makes us stronger. As the meeting concluded, Vexillar returned to the shuttle, her report already forming. The humans had offered friendship but refused submission. More disturbing was their complete lack of fear. They knew they were outmatched technologically, yet showed no signs of intimidation. Back aboard the Luminous Supremacy, Krivax received her report with growing unease. They refused, he asked, his voice carrying disbelief. Not just refused, Commander. They seemed amused by our offer, as if we were missing something fundamental about them. Krivax pondered this. Every species the Coalition had encountered followed predictable patterns: fight, flight, or submission. These humans exhibited none of these responses. Instead, they displayed something far more dangerous: confidence born of surviving impossible odds. Shall we demonstrate our power? The tactical officer suggested. Krivax hesitated, something he hadn't done in centuries. No, not yet. Continue observation. I want to understand what we're dealing with. Little did he know, that decision would reshape the galaxy forever. The awakening truth. High Commander Krivax stood in the Coalition's central analysis chamber, surrounded by the Empire's greatest minds. Holographic displays filled the vast room, each showing different aspects of human civilization. 3 months had passed since first contact, and the more they learned, the more unsettled the Coalition leadership became. Their biology defies logic, reported Chief Scientist Thal, his crystalline form pulsing with agitation. They heal from injuries that would kill most species. They can function on minimal sleep, adapt to extreme temperatures, and their endurance. Commander, they can run for hours without stopping. Some even do it for recreation. Another display activated, showing human military history. Their warfare evolution is unprecedented, added strategic analyst Zornex. They fought with sticks, swords, guns, tanks, aircraft, and nuclear weapons. Each advancement made them deadlier, yet they survived their own destructive capabilities. Krivax's mandibles clicked nervously. What about their space capabilities? Limited but rapidly advancing, replied Technology Minister Vrix. They went from first flight to lunar landing in less than 70 years. Their learning curve is exponential. The implications were staggering. Most Coalition species took centuries to achieve what humans accomplished in decades. If they continued at this pace, the emergency alert shattered his thoughts. Commander, incident at Mining Colony Delta 7. Unknown vessels detected. Mining Colony Delta 7 sat on the edge of Coalition space, harvesting rare minerals from an unstable asteroid field. The facility housed 10,000 workers from various subjugated species, protected by a standard garrison of Coalition forces. On screen, Krivax ordered. The display showed 3 human vessels, crewed by Coalition standards, but clearly military, approaching the colony. Before anyone could react, the asteroid field experienced a massive gravitational shift. Rocks the size of cities began colliding, threatening to pulverize the colony. Evacuation impossible, reported the colony administrator. The field's too unstable for our ships. Krivax watched in disbelief as the human vessels maneuvered through the chaos with impossible precision. Their ships seemed to dance between the asteroids, reaching the colony's emergency docks. There, evacuating our workers, the tactical officer stammered. The human ships, despite their primitive appearance, performed maneuvers that defied physics. They loaded thousands of terrified workers while dodging mountain-sized rocks, their pilots exhibiting reflexes that shouldn't be possible for biological entities. Within hours, they had evacuated the entire colony. Not a single life was lost. The lead human vessel opened communications. A young woman in a military uniform appeared on screen. Captain Sarah Martinez, Earth Space Force. We detected your emergency beacon. All personnel accounted for and are being transported to your nearest safe facility. Why? Krevax demanded. Those weren't your people. Martinez looked puzzled. They were people in danger. Does anything else matter? After the transmission ended, silence filled the command center. The humans had risked their lives to save coalition subjects, species they'd never met, from an empire that had threatened them. Vexlar entered the chamber, her bioluminescence dim with concern. Commander, I've completed my analysis of human psychology. They possess something we've never encountered, universal empathy. They can extend compassion beyond their species, even to potential enemies. That's weakness, growled military advisor Krath. No, Vexlar countered. It's their greatest strength. It allows them to form alliances we can't predict, to inspire loyalty in ways we can't counter. They don't conquer, they liberate. They don't subjugate, they cooperate. Reports began flooding in from across coalition space. Human cultural exchange vessels were appearing in occupied systems, not attacking, but simply talking, trading, teaching. Wherever they went, productivity increased, unrest decreased, and something else happened. Hope spread among subjugated populations. They're undermining us without firing a shot, Krevax realized. Every act of kindness weakens our authority. The coalition's grip on power relied on fear and the perception of invincibility. The humans were systematically dismantling both. Their merchant ships traveled with minimal weapons, but maximum humanitarian aid. Their diplomats spoke of partnership rather than submission. Their very existence proved that technological superiority didn't guarantee dominance. A priority message arrived from the throne world. Emperor Zalthor himself appeared on the main screen, his ancient features twisted with concern. Commander Krevax, these humans must be stopped. They threaten everything we've built. Your Eminence, Krevax replied carefully. Conventional approaches won't work. They don't respond to intimidation. Then we shall remind them, and the galaxy, why the coalition rules. The Emperor's solution was simple, a massive show of force. 100 dreadnoughts, the pride of the coalition fleet, would converge on Earth's system. It would be the largest military demonstration in coalition history. As preparations began, Krevax couldn't shake a growing unease. Every simulation, every analysis suggested the humans should be terrified. Yet somehow he suspected they were already preparing a response that would once again defy coalition expectations. He was right. The new dawn. The coalition armada emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, 100 dreadnoughts, each capable of devastating entire planets. High Commander Krevax stood on the bridge of the luminous supremacy, expecting to see panic, evacuation attempts, or at least defensive preparations around Earth. Instead, he found something else entirely. A single human vessel waited at the designated coordinates, broadcasting on all frequencies. This is Admiral Elena Kovac of Earth Ship Harmony. We've been expecting you. The casual tone sent chills through Krevax's exoskeleton. How could they be so calm facing annihilation? You will submit to coalition authority, Krevax transmitted, following protocol. This demonstration of power is exactly what we expected, Kovac interrupted. Commander, before you proceed, we'd like you to check your long-range sensors. Suspicious, Krevax nodded to his tactical officer. The scans revealed something impossible. Across coalition space, on every occupied world, human vessels had appeared simultaneously. Not warships, but cargo vessels, medical ships, and diplomatic shuttles. They had bypassed every security measure, every defensive grid. How? Krevax demanded. While you gathered your fleet here, we positioned ourselves everywhere else, Kovac explained. Every one of those ships carries food, medicine, and most importantly, information about freedom. The realization struck like a physical blow. The humans had turned the coalition's show of force into a distraction, spreading throughout the empire while its military might was concentrated in one place. Reports flooded in. On Nexus Prime, human medical teams were treating a plague the Coalition had ignored for decades. On the factory world of Tauran 4, human engineers were teaching workers how to improve conditions. On countless worlds, human broadcasts were explaining concepts like democracy, self-determination, and civil rights. "You think you can turn our subjects against us?" Krivax snarled. "We don't have to," Kovac replied. "We're just showing them what's possible." The tactical display suddenly lit up with new contacts. Not human ships, but Coalition vessels. Dozens of them, breaking formation, their commanders announcing their refusal to fire on Earth. "Commander," his security officer reported, voice shaking, "we're receiving similar reports from across the Empire. Garrison forces are standing down. Governors are declaring independence. It's a cascade failure of authority." Krivax watched his empire crumble in real time. The humans hadn't fired a single shot, yet they were winning a war the Coalition didn't even know it was fighting. A war of ideas. "All vessels, prepare to fire," Krivax ordered, desperate to salvage the situation. "Commander," his weapons officer turned, removing his helmet. "With respect, I cannot follow that order. My family is on Tauran 4. The humans are helping them, showing them kindness the Coalition never did." One by one, bridge officers began standing down. Krivax found himself alone in his desire for violence. Admiral Kovac's image remained steady on the screen. "Commander, you can still be part of the solution. The galaxy doesn't need an empire. It needs a community." The impossible was happening. The Coalition, master of 70% of the galaxy, was being defeated not by superior firepower, but by superior compassion. The humans had weaponized empathy, turned mercy into strategy, and transformed hope into revolution. 6 months later, Krivax stood in the newly established Galactic Assembly Hall on Neutral Station Unity 1. The Coalition still existed, but transformed. No longer an empire, but one voice among many. Former subject species now sat as equals, their representatives working alongside humans and Coalition members. Secretary General Chen approached him. "Thank you for supporting the transition, Commander. Your influence prevented a lot of bloodshed." Krivax studied her, this small, seemingly fragile being who had helped reshape galactic civilization. "I still don't understand. How did you know your approach would work?" Chen smiled. "We didn't, but we knew what wouldn't work, trying to dominate others through fear. We tried that on Earth. It never lasts. But you were so vastly outnumbered, outgunned. True, but we had something you didn't. Faith in the fundamental desire of all beings to be free, to be treated with dignity." She gestured to the assembly hall, where former enemies now worked together. "Every species wants to believe in something better. We just showed them it was possible." The great irony wasn't lost on Krivax. The Coalition had feared human military potential, their adaptability, their resilience. But it was their compassion that proved most dangerous, not to life, but to tyranny itself. As he watched humans and aliens working side by side, planning trade routes instead of invasion corridors, drafting rights instead of subjugation protocols, Krivax realized the full truth. The humans hadn't conquered the Coalition. They had liberated it from its own limitations, its own fears, its own narrow vision of what galactic civilization could be. The Empire had asked, "That's all humans?" The answer, it turned out, was both yes and no. Yes, humans were just one species among many. But no, they were not just anything. They were proof that power wasn't about domination, but about lifting others up. That strength wasn't about destruction, but about building something better. The galaxy would never be the same, and for the first time in 3 millennia, that was something to celebrate.